TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations.
Shalom and good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, U.S. President Donald Trump unveils an ambitious plan in which the United States would take over the Gaza Strip for an extensive period of time. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu underscores that he and President Trump see eye to eye over the Iranian threat. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi asserts that the ceasefires, both in Lebanon as well as the Gaza Strip, serve as a period of rebuilding for both Hamas and the Iranian proxy Hezbollah before re-entering the battlefield against Israel. U.S. President Donald Trump shook the international community at large and the Middle East in particular when he breached conventional thinking, seemingly frustrating those who have unyieldingly clung to hopes of composing a different outcome to repeatedly attempted efforts that had failed to reach a so-called two-state solution to the Palestinian conflict with Israel. Trump's plan was unveiled last night after holding a lengthy meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Washington, D.C., asserting that an American takeover of the Gaza Strip, either temporary or permanent, relocation of the Arab population of the devastated enclave to third countries, and reconstruction of the terror-ridden territory in a manner that will ultimately restore peace to a very troubled region.
In our meetings today, the Prime Minister and I focused on the future, discussing how we can work together to ensure Hamas is eliminated and ultimately restore peace to a very troubled region. The only reason the Palestinians want to go back to Gaza is they have no alternative. It's right now a demolition site. This is just a demolition site. Virtually every building is down. They're living under fallen concrete that's very dangerous and very precarious. They instead can occupy all of a beautiful area with homes and safety, and they can live out their lives in peace and harmony instead of having to go back and do it again. The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area. Do a real job, do something different. Just can't go back. If you go back, it's going to end up the same way it has for 100 years.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who is the first foreign leader to meet with U.S. President Donald Trump since assuming office, stressed Israel's deepest appreciation for the American leader, dubbing him the greatest friend Israel has ever had in the White House.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm honored that you invited me to be the first foreign leader to visit the White House in your second term. This is a testament to your friendship and support for the Jewish state and the Jewish people. I've said this before. I'll say it again. You are the greatest friend Israel has ever had in the White House. And that's why the people of Israel have such enormous respect for you.
The Israeli premier continued by listing a host of decisions which President Trump signed into law in support of Israel and the ironclad alliance between Jerusalem and Washington. Moreover, Prime Minister Netanyahu hailed President Trump for his ambitious plan for the Gaza Strip in particular and the Middle East at large.
The Bible says that the people of Israel shall rise like lions, and boy did we rise. Today, the roar of the Lion of Judah is heard loudly throughout the Middle East. Israel has never been stronger, and the Iran terror axis has never been weaker. But as we discussed, Mr. President, to secure our future and bring peace to our region, we have to finish the job. In Gaza, Israel has three goals: destroy Hamas's military and governing capabilities, secure the release of all of our hostages, and ensure that Gaza never again poses a threat to Israel. I believe, Mr. President, that your willingness to puncture conventional thinking that has failed time and time and time again, your willingness to think outside the box with fresh ideas will help us achieve all these goals. And I've seen you do this many times. You cut to the chase. You see things others refuse to see. You say things others refuse to say. And after the jaws drop, people scratch their heads and they say, you know, he's right. And this is the kind of thinking that enabled us to bring the Abraham Accords. This is the kind of thinking that will reshape the Middle East and bring peace.
Prime Minister Netanyahu and President Trump also addressed Iran's global belligerence and aspirations to acquire nuclear weapons, stressing that both countries see eye to eye in their unyielding commitment to end the Islamic Republic's malign activities.
Today, I also took action to restore a maximum pressure policy on the Iranian regime, and we will once again enforce the most aggressive possible sanctions, drive Iranian oil exports to zero, and diminish the regime's capacity to fund terror throughout the region and throughout the world.
We also see eye to eye on Iran. That's the same Iran that tried to kill us both. They tried to kill you, Mr. President. They tried through their proxies to kill me. We're both committed to rolling back Iran's aggression in the region and ensuring that Iran never develops a nuclear weapon.
Meanwhile, international state actors from Russia, France, China, and Australia, all the way to Turkey, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt, among a long list of other states, including numerous non-state actors, have voiced their adamant rejection of President Trump's plan for the Gaza Strip, rather than a long internationally aspired yet repeatedly failed two-state resolution. Moreover, the leadership of the Islamist Hamas from its headquarters in the Qatari capital of Doha voiced their outrage over President Trump's statements and unabashedly called on him to retract his remarks.
We demand the U.S. president to retract these statements because such statements add fuel to the fire. Our Palestinian people, the living forces and the resistance factions, supported by their Arab and Islamic nations, will thwart all plans aimed at deporting the Palestinian people and expelling them from their land.
The Hamas official went on to call on the Arab and Muslim world to stand shoulder to shoulder in rejection of President Trump's plan. He also warned Israel and the United States against failure to implement stages 2 and 3 of the ceasefire arrangement. Meanwhile, in Iran, the Islamic Republic's top diplomat held a press conference in Tehran, during the course of which he proclaimed that the ceasefires, both in the Gaza Strip as well as in Lebanon, are essentially meant to buy time for the Iran-backed terror proxies to rebuild themselves, while further voicing confidence that they will return to the battlefield to face Israel stronger and broader than before.
A ceasefire is currently in place in Gaza and Lebanon. There are some challenges and concerns regarding its extension, but in any case, we can say that the resistance has endured an extremely difficult period. Now is the time for the resistance to rebuild itself, to restore its forces. I am confident that it will return to the battlefield stronger and broader than before, just as it is already present now, but its presence will undoubtedly be stronger and more widespread.
Shifting gears to the Turkish capital, where President Recep Tayyip Erdogan hosted Syria's jihadist, self-appointed ruler Abu Muhammad al-Julani, also known as Ahmed al-Shara, during the course of which Ankara and Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, on behalf of the unconsolidated Damascus, have agreed to advance a defense treaty that includes the erection of Turkish military bases in Syria. And while reiterating his commitment to Turkey in seeming reverence to President Erdogan, Al-Julani reiterated his call to apply international pressure on Israel, demanding its disengagement from Syrian territory.
We are working together on the remaining major strategic portfolios, most importantly, building a common strategy to confront security threats in the region that guarantee a prolonged peace and security for the people of Syria and Turkey. During our meeting, we discussed the outstanding threats on Syrian soil and its northeast, and we also discussed the importance of international pressure on Israel for it to withdraw from the buffer zone in southern Syria in accordance to the 1974 agreement.
وتطبيق اتفاق 1974.
Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. It is important to highlight that TV7 Israel is a non-profit ministry with all of our programs exclusively reliant on the generosity of our viewers. Therefore, I would like to voice my deep appreciation for all of you who support our daily news updates, and note further that any donation helps us cover the costs of extensive research, productions, and much more. Lastly, but certainly not least, I'd like to encourage you to pray for the peace of Jerusalem, the salvation of Israel, and for the hostages in captivity in Gaza. I'm Jonathan Hassan, wishing you an Erev Mevorach, and God willing, we will see you during our next update. Until then, Shalom from Jerusalem.